What's going on, ladies and gents, and welcome back to a brand new miracle product that will help you with body odor. Ladies and gents, it's not just gents, it's ladies as well. Okay, I'm just saying. Now, today we're going to be talking about Docker, like what this series is going to be about. Honestly, it's not going to be that long of a series, but what are we going to be doing in the series? Basically, we're going to be doing what you guys want. Creating a Docker container containing our front end static assets, whatever you're using for your front end, Vue, Angular, React, it doesn't matter, or even static, HTML, CSS, whatever. Our backend container containing our backend static assets, which is our APIs, our routes, anything that deals with that kind of stuff. And then our database container, I misspelled volume here, but our database container containing all of our data. Now, why did I put volume instead of database? Well, it's because volume for Docker is the thing that keeps our data persistence between the front end and the back end. Although we could just do it with a database container. I mean, it is going to be a database container, but if we do a database container not using a volume, then when the back end communicates to the database, the front end might not get that update. Okay, I'm just saying. Using volumes, we're going to have that data persistence. So this is what we're going to be doing right here in this series, and we're going to be starting off with these two right here, our backend container and our database container. Okay, so let's get right into it. So the thing I do want to note another thing on this folder structure right here. Actually, we're not going to be using simple backend. I'm going to actually delete this. We're not going to use that no more. Yes, delete permanently. Just delete it. All right. So I have backend and front end. Super annoying names or garbage names, but still, it gets the point across. We have a backend that has APIs and routes. It's not that much, and we're actually connecting to our Mongo DB on our backend. And don't worry about the front end. We will get into it in a later video, but we're just worrying about a backend. Now, you could use your own backend if you want to. This is literally just a simple backend with very few APIs and very few routes. And we're going to be using that. Now, one thing to know before you delete that simple backend is copy over the Docker file and the Docker ignore. We're going to be using those, okay? We are going to be using those. They're exactly the same thing. We're still using Node, and work directory, all that. It's all the same thing. The only difference is we made a new file called Docker Compose. Now, the reason why we're going to be using Docker Compose, a new file or a new tool, is because Compose actually lets us manage multiple containers in this one file. So we don't have to keep on updating all the containers separately. We could just do it in this one file and it'll do it automatically, which is pretty neat. And since we're going to be using 3 containers, it's going to manage those 3 containers within this one file. But obviously for this video, we're only going to be doing 2 containers. All right, enough talk. Let's get into it. So Docker Compose actually has versions, and I'm going to be specifying what version I want to use, and we're going to be using the latest version, which is 3.8 as of this moment. And Docker has a property called services. Now, these are the services that we're going to be using, or you could think of them as like what are the containers that you're going to be wanting, right? So our services is basically what services you want. Well, we have 3 services, right? We have our backend service, we have our database service, and we also have our front end service. And you could name them whatever you want. Typically, you would want to name them what they are. But right now, for our backend service, I'm going to name it app. Just like that, our app. So we're going to have inside of services, we're going to have a service named app. And be careful because every service is going to be building an image if you want it to. And I'll get into that in a bit if you want it to build an image. But basically, since we're going to be building an image containing of, I'll get into it. Hold on. So what do we have inside of apps? Well, we could have container name. Matter of fact, we could have a lot of things. There's going to be a document down below in the descriptions. Look it up if you want to. There's a lot of things you could add into this, but I'm just going to be adding a few. The first thing is container name. You don't have to add this per se. It'll give you a random container name if you don't provide a container name, but it's basically best practice to actually have a container name per project. So I'm going to just say backend and container or dash container. Okay. Now what else are we gonna have? Restart, a property called restart. Now what does restart do? Okay, let's say you're trying to make a change, a file change or any kind of change on your container. It'll always restart. Okay, there are some other options saying that no restart or just restart on failure, but we always want it to restart. Another thing we're going to do is like, what are we building? If we're not pulling an image, we're going to be building an image. And what image are we going to be building? Well, it's literally everything in this backend folder. Okay, so that's why you put that dot, because I'm going to be building an image that consists of everything down here or inside that folder. Now, ports. Simply, it's mapping our ports. I want to map my 4000 port, our local host 4000, to the 4000 that this app is providing us. And if you go to the index.js, you'll see that we're exposing port 4000 right here. And that's why I'm mapping our local host 4000 to the apps 4000. Okay. But like I said in the last video, this could be whatever we want. We could literally have it to 8001. But this one has to be what we're exposing from the actual application, which is 4000. Okay. And I'm going to leave it like that just to let you know that we can do this. We don't have to map it to 4000 to 4000. All right, ports. And then one last thing, this service, this app service, does depend on the next service that we're going to be building, which is called Mongo. It does depend on the service Mongo because we need to connect to Mongo. So let's actually now do a Mongo service. Make sure to add a space right there. Yeah. So Mongo service. What are we gonna do here? It's basically the same thing. Container name. You can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna just say Mongo backend, so that way I know that this Mongo container is for my backend application that I'm running. What else? Well, I'm gonna actually add an image. Now over here we did a build because we're actually building an image, right? We don't have an image to pull down. But Mongo already has an image that we could pull down from the Docker Hub, and it's called Mongo. Now, if you don't want to use, I would suggest you doing it. But if you want to do it yourself, you could build a whole Mongo image. But I'm not going to do that, so I'm just pulling down an image of Mongo. Expose. We want to expose the default port that Mongo uses, which is 27017, and you do need to have that in quotes. And then ports. What are we, like I said, what are we mapping? Well, I'm going to map this time I'm actually going to map 27017 to the 27017 we're exposing in our Mongo container. Okay. The last thing we're going to be adding for this service is called volume. Now, we talked about it in the beginning of the video. Volume lets us keep our data persistent. Now, this is actually pretty important if you want data persistency, right? So I'm going to actually be creating a named volume, meaning that I'm going to give my volume a name, and I'm going to call it backend DB. So that way I know that this volume is for my backend, and it's just a database, right? And I'm going to be mapping that to /data/DB. There we go. All right. Now we're almost done. We just need to do one more thing, okay? Since we actually named our volume, right? Docker doesn't know what the path is for this. What exactly is our path? Now, volumes uses your hard drive or your memory to actually store data, so that way containers could actually use that memory that you specified here. What memory do you want to use? It uses that so that way the containers have a backend or a simulated backend, right, to connect to a temporary database, right, for instance. So we could have done like, I want to use my C drive, inside of users, whatever, right? I didn't do that. I literally named it backend, but it doesn't know what backend is. So we do need to tell it, hey, what what does backend mean? And by doing that, we're going to go outside of the services scope, and actually type in volumes, and then give it the volume name, so that way we could specify where this is going to live at. Now, if you have a folder or something that you want to put in, you could literally do something. You could literally say, I want to bind backend DB to my C drive, going into the users, going into WDJ user, and inside WDJ I want to, where's the J at? I want to put it inside of a folder called DB, right? And that's it. This is or DB, okay, that's fine. This is my path that I want to be sharing right now. So yeah, this is just a way to do it. Obviously, if you just leave it blank, like I'm going to be leaving it blank, it will default to your local hard drive or your primary hard drive that Docker is using, which for me is my hard drive C. So that's fine with me. It doesn't really matter. Now remember, volumes, you can't really, volumes is tricky to use. Volumes, that's why you need to read their docs. It really is tricky, because you could give it a path to an external hard drive or wherever you want, really, but you won't for Windows anyways. For Linux, I know for a fact that you could actually navigate to that volume if you wanted to. In Mac, I don't think you can, but in Windows, since I'm running Windows, I'm for sure you can't. The reason why is because, remember, Docker uses Linux containers or Linux VMs to actually, do all this thing. This is what Docker's based off of, right? Running containers in a VM. So obviously it's not running this hard drive or this volume, the actual volume in our machine, but is using that where we specified it, wherever that may be, as a mounting point. Okay. And I'll show you what I'm talking about, but for right now, let's just leave it blank so I could use my local drive. Control save this. Now we're actually done. Now, another thing to know is that in our index.js, notice that we're connecting to the Mongo container and not localhost. That's because, remember, we're running this on a container, and that container is called Mongo. We named it Mongo. Okay, so, or the service that we're using is Mongo, and it's Mongo right here. So whatever you're using, just put it right there. Okay, just making sure. Now we could actually go to our terminal and use Docker. Oh, by the way, let's, just so that you could see, PS, I don't have any containers running. I could do Docker images. I don't have any images, and also could do Docker volume, so that way we could see all the volumes that we have. And I don't have any volumes, just to let you know that I don't have anything right now. Now let's do Docker dash compose, and we're gonna put or type in build. Now this is going to build all the images that we need to build from this Docker compose. Okay, make sure you're inside the backend folder first of all, and then do Docker compose build. Now notice right here it says Mongo use an image skipping. Sorry about that, skipping, right? And the reason why it's skipping is because we're not necessarily using it right now, and since there is an image already right there, all it has to do is actually pull it down. But since we're not actually running a container yet, it's saying, hey, we're not going to be actually running a container, so screw the Mongo image. But we do need to build in a app image, since we need to build it. And we're specifying right here that we need to build it. Right here, it's just an image, so they could just pull it down whenever they want. But this one, in this case, we need to build it. All right, so just letting you know that. All right, now it's done. Now we could do Docker images, and we're gonna see two images. Our backend app, like I said, it does concatenate backend with app, and node. Where did node come from? Well, remember, in Docker file, we are using from node, and it will pull the node image. All right, and we could actually do Docker PS, and you can see that nothing is there. Let me actually make this a bit bigger so that way you can see what's going on. Not that big. Right there, Docker image, Docker PS, nothing. But all right, clear. Now let's actually run some containers that will contain the images that we just built, right? So The way we do that as a, maintaining using compose is docker compose build, or not build, sorry, up. We want to bring up a container or start using a container. And if you do this right here, it will actually look at the docker compose file and say, hey, okay, let's do it. It wants us to run an app container and a Mongo container and every other service that we have as a container. So if we actually do this, we could do it right now. Docker compose up, and it'll start running some containers. I forgot to do one thing though. I forgot to do -d, which is called detached, because I want it to be running in the back end. Now, if obviously I didn't do it, so my terminal is going to be used up. As you can see right here, it's used. Like, I can't run any more commands because it's being used. Now I'm gonna do Control-C for right now. It'll close all the containers. I'm gonna just do docker compose up -d, not G, damn it, -d. So that way it'll run in the back end. Now I could use my terminal again, once again. Now let's do, if you want to figure out, let's do docker ps for right now. So that way we can see that our containers is running. Now, if you want to see what's going inside, you want to see the logs of a certain container, like let's say our backend app, right? You could do docker logs and then give it that few characters of that specific ID, which mine is 437. So 437. And I could see right here that, hey, your server is running on port 4000, and not exactly, because we're mapping our 8001 to the 4000, and we're connected to a database, which is awesome. So let's actually go to our local host, and let's do 4000. And as you can see, it's not working for us because we didn't map our 4000 to their 4000. We actually mapped our 8001 to their 4000, and there you go. Node and Express server is running on port 4000. The 4000 is coming from index.js, remember, and we specified that we're doing it right there. So yeah, it's good practice to actually do 8000 like this and just do 4000. Control save. Now let's do a docker compose -compose. Oops, build. So that way we could build that image again, because we just changed something, right? And let's do docker compose up, and I want to do a specific image, which is, first let's do -d, so we detach from it, and then we want to run the app service, which is doing it right now. Now if you go back to our thing, if we actually refresh this, you're gonna get a hanging right there, because it's not in 8001 no more, it's actually in 4000. There it is. Node and Express server is running on port 4000. Awesome. Now let's talk about a little bit about volumes. I'm not gonna go into details. I just want you to know that, hey, what's going on, right? So let's clear this, and let's type in docker volume ls, and you're gonna see that we get 2 volumes. Don't worry about the one, but look at this. We have our volume right here, backend_backend db. Okay, which is pretty awesome, and we could actually see what's going on there. So let's actually do volume, and let me actually see. There it is. Inspect. We need to use the inspect command. So clear this, and let's do volume inspect. I forgot we do need to give it the ID name, so let me just do volume inspect and then backend. I'm gonna just say backend. Backend. Let's type in the whole thing then. Backend DB. Okay, and there we go. We're inspecting our backend DB. Now notice right here it says our mount point, like we said, is in var lib docker volumes backend db, and obviously in Windows we can't really get into this photo searches because we don't have that option, or I'm pretty sure we can, but it's just a pain in the ass to do. And when you would have to go into the the Linux container and start going in there. Mac, since it's a Unix environment, I'm pretty sure you can. I'm not too sure though. I'm honestly not too sure. I know for a fact Linux, you actually can get in here and actually start messing around with the underscore data right there. But for us right now, we don't have that option for Windows. It's just no. So I'm just letting you know that, hey, our mount point is in the backend DB, whatever you want to name it. I'm just letting you know that you can do stuff. At least inspect the volume that we're having right now, okay? And the driver that we're using is logo, which is my C drive, okay? So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. That was it for this video. We just made a container, literally 2 containers running together, you know, our backend with our database. So yeah, next video is going to be running a container of our front end application and then tying all 3 containers together so that way it will start working together. That's pretty cool, ain't it? Let's go to localhost 20. We're not going to be able to go because this is a database, obviously. Look, it looks like you're trying to access MongoDB over HTTP, but notice that we could actually get into that 27017 from our local host, which is pretty cool, right? I mean, it's working, right? Because it gave us an error, but still. Awesome. I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys, and subscribe if you haven't. I was going to say bye, but subscribe if you haven't, like it, and leave a comment down below. Thank you.